Well, hello everybody. Pastor Randy here. Hope you're doing great on this beautiful Wednesday. Looking forward to being with you today as we jump into the next part of this lesson here at Making It Simple, Picking the Vine. We've been systematically looking at one by one each component of the fruit of the Spirit. Now, mind you, that is a singular word. We talked about that in the very first lesson. Fruit of the Spirit. Some people, and again, not to be corrective or are arrogant in any way, but some people say fruits of the Spirit, but it's one. And that's important to remember that. Fruit of the Spirit. There are multiple parts, but they all make up one thing. And so as we've seen from the very beginning, from the very first lesson, and if today is the first time you're listening to Making It Simple, Picking the Vine, wonder, what is this guy talking about? Go back. All of these are archived right here on this channel. You can go back and find every single one back to lesson one, and it'll start making sense once you start putting it together. As we've gone through this list, if you will, what we see is the existence of a very common theme. All right, from the very beginning up to where we're going to go today. The whole thing, the entire thing is about our relationship with God. That's what it's all about. It's about our relationship and the level of our surrender. Where are we at? How are we exercising these things that are to be evident in our lives? Okay? Because as I've talked about throughout this lesson, evident, all right? We talked about faith being evident here just in the lesson that we finished yesterday, and all the others, from love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, all these things. Evident. If you have an apple tree, a pear tree, a grapevine, whatever, in your yard, on your property, and it comes time for it to bear that, you can see it. It's there. In other words, you don't have to question what that plant or what that tree is. You know, because you can see it. The fruit of the Spirit is to be evident in our lives. It is to be there. It is to be clear. There is to be no doubt as to whether it exists or whether it doesn't. Who you belong to or who you don't. That's how it works. So we've come to the point now. We're going to address the next word, which is meekness. Meekness. All right, we hear that word. We don't really hear it a lot in today's world. We hear it in context sometimes as we're reading. We've heard certainly Jesus say the meek will inherit the earth. But what does it mean? And why is this a part of the fruit of the Spirit? What does it have to do if we go back and look at the beginning of love? All right, that's where it all starts. Everything stems from that. And so as this continues to go, we see love evolving into peace and joy and all these different things that it becomes. And again, each one showing a deeper and stronger level of the commitment we have to the Lord and how much surrender is there. So everything stems out of that, because if we don't have love and understand the fact of how much we're loved, none of the rest of it comes. And so that's where we come to today. And so as we look deeper, this word meekness, it should not be confused with weakness. Two very different things. So today we're just going to kind of just get a little bit of an intro into this concept of what we're going to be looking at in this word. Because weakness, it means ineffective or trembling or fear. Meekness means having a gentle and patient disposition. It means humble submissiveness, let me get my word right, to God's will. Now do you see why it's part of this fruit of the Spirit? Now do you understand, wait a minute, meekness, again, because of the rhyming nature, because it sounds familiar to weak, we think of meek as being, shy and withdrawn and ineffective. But that's not what it means at all. Meekness means having a gentle and patient disposition. Do we see how that can come as this continual list grows from love to joy to peace to patience, to where we have a gentle and patient disposition? Because who does this describe? Jesus. And so we see why that should be on the list of what it is that we should be producing. Meekness. Jesus said, and we've heard this, and I just mentioned it a while ago, the meek will inherit the earth. The ones that are patient, the ones that are gentle. Because the ones that are arrogant and prideful, well, they don't make it. Okay, and that is not to be arrogant or prideful or in any way negative. That is factual. And the reason that I say that is because clearly Scripture says pride goes before destruction. But those that are arrogant, those that are boastful, those that are demanding, well, they take it too far. And they're never satisfied. But the one that waits upon the Lord, all right, I love that, because we see here Jesus saying the meek will inherit the earth, shall inherit the earth. When we look at the definition of this word, we see that Jesus is referring to those that listen, those that wait upon the Lord, those that have that gentle and patient disposition. Because we have an old saying at least in our Western culture, that good things come to those who wait. We get impatient. We all do. You know, if you're cooking something, what are you always doing? Looking in the oven. There's a cook guy that I like to watch, and he puts his stuff in the oven. He says, no peeking for 45 minutes. I like that, because sometimes we don't need to look, because it's just fine. But even if you put something in the microwave, you're holding the door, looking through the glass. Sometimes we're very impatient people. But I love what he's saying here. Those that will listen to God, those that will live their lives His way. That takes time. That does not always produce fast results. And we are a results-oriented type of society. We want it now. We don't want to wait. We want it instantly. And we all fall into that category at times. But when we think about this word, meekness, gentle and patient disposition, I really want to drive that home in this lesson, because we sometimes confuse that word as some type of inferior thing, but it is absolutely not. It is a beautiful quality. James chapter 1 in verse 21, it says this: therefore, ridding yourselves. All right. So therefore is always one of those proclamations that is as a result of what I just told you. All right, so let's go back a little bit in verse 19. My dear brothers and sisters, understand this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. That's meekness. For human anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. Think about how much we need that today, friends. Everything is a lightning bolt fuse that's only about a centimeter long. Therefore, so as a result of what I just told you, ridding yourselves, it's got to go. Replace the old with the new. Remove yourselves, rid yourselves of all moral filth and evil that is so prevalent. It's everywhere, friends. He said that has no place in your life. And humbly, that's meek, receive the implanted word, which is able to save your soul. That's a powerful verse. I'm going to encourage you to go back and read that. James chapter 1, beginning in verse 19 through 21. We're going to look at several components of meekness over these next several lessons, beginning with the meek learner, one that is gentle and patient in their disposition, one that is willing to listen. And we'll talk about that tomorrow when we come right back here for Making It Simple. God bless you, friends. I hope you have a great day. And remember, the meek shall inherit the earth.